Hey, I want to let you guys in on a little secret. Did you know that there are pieces of cardboard that regularly sell for thousands, tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of dollars? And they look like this. Now, this shouldn't come as such a surprise to you guys, because you guys are all coin collectors. So you've seen dollar bills, for example, that sell for thousands of dollars. You know, like this guy. If you know, you know. But today, we are going to be talking about my $20,000 Magic the Gathering collection, specifically my vintage cube. Now, if you don't know what that is, don't worry, we'll get to it throughout the video. But I want to share with you some tips on what to look for when you're at your garage sales and flea markets and estate sales this summer to see what you guys can pick up and potentially flip for a huge profit. This is my Magic the Gathering vintage cube. Essentially, Magic the Gathering is a collectible trading card game that started way back in 1993 and is today more popular than ever with over 50,000 different cards printed. Some are worth just pennies, while others are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, but most fall somewhere in the middle. So what is a cube? So there are lots of different formats of the game with different rule variants, and think of it like a deck of ordinary playing cards. Same cards, many different ways to play. Generally, in other formats, players bring their own decks and battle it out with an opponent. But what's cool about Cube, though, is that it turns this trading card game into what's more like a self-contained board game. So why don't we take a look at each set of cards by color, and I'll tell you a little bit about the different archetypes. That's for those of you who already know how to play Magic. And I'll also share the most valuable cards to look out for when you're out garage selling. So even if you don't care about Magic at all, you'll learn something that can make you some extra money this summer. So basically for white, in terms of the main archetype, obviously it has some of the classics, you know, like White Weenie and other stuff like that. But the main thing here is Flicker, where you're going to be bouncing your own creatures in and out of the battlefield to get bonuses. Now, I just wanted to pause on this card because Solitude is a very valuable card. This is like a $30 card with this treatment. And by treatment, I mean this is the full art variant as opposed to a card like this. Those are worth more money. Also, I should point out, the way you know a card is rare or mythic, rare cards have the little set symbol here in gold, and mythics have it in this like orange color. Commons and uncommons are black or silver. So those are the kind of things you want to look for when you're at a garage sale. The more rares and mythics, likely the more valuable the cards. So I just want to show a few of my favorites and a few of the most valuable ones. Over here we have 3 cards from Revise. We have Balance, Armageddon, and Wrath of God. Balance is worth a couple bucks. Armageddon is I think worth like $5, and Wrath of God also, but these are classics. And whenever you see cards at garage sales that have the illustrator's name in big letters down here and nothing else, those are the old cards, and that usually means you've got something valuable or a good chance of it. Esper Sentinel, for example, and Ocelot Pride are 2 newer cards that are still worth a bunch of money. You know, Esper Sentinel is probably 20, 30 bucks, Ocelot Pride 30, 40 bucks, and Ocelot Pride came out only a year ago. And then we've got Land Tax. I promised I would show you my favorite card in each color, and this is my favorite card in white. And I mean, come on, the guy is literally carrying what I can only imagine is a bag of silver or gold coins. Okay, so next up we have blue. And blue is probably the crowd favorite when it comes to picking a color that vintage cube players like, and all Magic players like in general. And that's mostly just because it's a really, really powerful color. In terms of control play, it's all just very, very strong cards that really work together. But if you take a look at these two, you can probably guess what the archetype is here. Yes, it is Mill. So Mill is an alternate win condition. Typically you try and get your opponent's life total from 20 to 0, and that's how you win. But you can also win by removing all of the player's library, which is their deck of cards, from the game. If they've got no cards left to draw, they lose. And that's what this color in this cube, tries to do. And there are lots of valuable cards here. I mean, Urza is a valuable card, Snappy is a valuable card. There's tons and tons of valuable cards in this color, but the ones I want to show off most are these guys, because these are some of my favorites. So what we have over here is we have Time Spiral from Urza Saga. We have Mana Drain, which is from one of Magic's earliest sets. We have Thassa's Oracle, the Secret Lair foil version. And now this is cool because this came out just a few months ago and it's still worth like 35, 40 bucks. So there are new cards that are worth quite a bit of money. And then my 2 favorites, I couldn't choose, Tinker and Force of Will. And these are both cards that I had from my childhood collection. These are not new ones that I bought. So a little bit of sentimental value as well. Oh, and I should point out that in terms of singles, I literally only buy on Whatnot at this point because the deals are just too good. By the way, if you don't know what Whatnot is, it's an incredible live video auction app in which bidders and sellers come together in real time to buy and sell all sorts of cool collectibles. Obviously, I'm mostly into coins as a seller, but I'm also a huge buyer of Magic cards. But they've got everything. If you collect it, I promise you it's on Whatnot. And if you use my link, whatnot.com/invite/silverpicker to download the app, you get $15 in Whatnot credit added to your account absolutely free. You can use that to spend on coins at one of my auctions or cards from one of the other great sellers. You can't beat that. And by the way, if you have coins or collectibles or cards that you want to sell, you can use my seller invite link, whatnot.com/invite/seller/silverpicker, and Whatnot will match you your first $150 in sales. So you sell $150 worth of coins, cards, or anything else, and they'll pay you $300. You really can't beat that. Finally, up to black, my personal favorite. And the reason is just because I love that dark, eerie flavor to it. And there's a lot of powerful cards, a lot of valuable cards, Vampiric Tutor to name one. And it's just one of my favorite ways to play Magic. And the archetype here is based on this card, Reanimate, where you basically use creature cards in your graveyard, that's the discard pile, and cheat them into play using cheaper spells. And it's just a lot of fun. It's just makes for great gameplay, and I love the cards. So let's take a look here at what I've got. And by the way, if you guys want to see the entire cube list, I'll have it linked below on my Cube Cobra so you guys can see exactly what's in there. And taking a look at some of the most valuable cards and coolest cards in the cube for this color. So we've got Meathook Massacre in the movie poster frame. Shouldered the Apocalypse is just a $50, $60 card. Maybe it's even more than that at this point. It's just wild. And this I actually opened at the pre-release for Lord of the Rings, and you can see it's at the pre-release gold stamp, foil Orcish Bowmasters. This thing must be like $100 now. And this is the classic Demonic Tutor. It is absolutely one of my favorite cards of all time, and certainly my favorite card in black in the cube. Next up is red, and red is not my favorite color to play. It's pretty basic, and you know, in my cube, it's also sort of just the basic burn spells, and that's the archetype here. And it's just a lot of like very basic, straight to your face, direct damage spells. And there's not too many super valuable cards in here, though I will show you a couple, and of course my favorites. So just going through this pretty fast. Here we go. Here are some of the more valuable ones. We've got Ragavan in the full art. We've got Kiki Jiki in the original printing, and this is proxied and it says Wheel of Fortune. This is what the card actually looks like. I'm just borrowing it for one of my commander decks at the moment. And Sneak Attack, which is my all-time favorite Magic card, period, and of course my favorite in red. And last but not least for our monocolored cards is green. And green is pretty basic. It is ramp and stompy. So get as many lands out as you can and put out huge creatures. And there's a bunch of valuable cards in this color, but I'll show you some of my top favorites over here. So we've got Sylvan Library, that's a classic, and these two. So we've got a collector's edition Birds of Paradise and an authentic Alpha Llanowar Elves. And Alpha is the original first set of Magic, and you can tell that because, again, it has the illustrator's name in big letters on the bottom, and unlike some of the other cards, you can see it has rounded edges that are much, much rounder than, say, this one. Over here we've got Berserk from Unlimited, which a friend of mine donated to the cube because he loved playing it so much. This is like an $80 card. And my favorite card in the color, Survival of the Fittest. Also like a $100 card now. Now we also have a bunch of multicolored cards, right? So what you just saw earlier were all of the single monocolored cards, and these ones are the ones that combine multiple colors. So for example, you see here, this one has the blue and red symbol, this one has the black and green symbol. Nothing too crazy, but my favorite one is this guy, which is the Secret Lair Progenitus. It's a beautiful card, and it's just so classic. And to finish us off, we now have colorless cards, artifacts, and lands. And I'm going to show you all the artifact and colorless stuff in a row. First, we've got all of the Secret Lair Dan Fraser signets. I wish I would have gotten them in foil, but basically the artifacts are here to support all the other colors. They're colorless, so they can fit into any deck, but they're also supported on their own as their own archetype. And there's a bunch of bangers in here. I mean, some of these cards are between $10 and $20, $30, $40, $50. I mean, this is the special edition, like collector's edition, Grim Monolith, Memory Jar, Metalworker. These are all real bangers. Mana Vault, Chrome Mox, the One Ring foil, and Mox Diamond. That is like an $800 card. Yes, so if you're at a garage sale and you see this card, $800. And if you see one that says Mox, in general, those are always winners. Now, I'm going to go and show you some of the colorless non-artifacts. We've got Emrakul, we've got another Emrakul, we've got Ulamog, we've got another Ulamog, Ugin, Kozilek, and Scion of Urza. Now, the next few cards, oh, we also have a signed Sol Ring, which is my favorite card. We've got a signed Mana Crypt. That's like a $500 card. Actually, I think it went down a little bit, but that one's signed by Mark T. Dean. Both of these are signed by Mark T. Dean. And here we go. We've got Scions of Urza, but these are my most special cards in the cube. So you know what? Actually, I'm going to come back to these after I show you the lands because they're just too cool and I want to save the best for last. So here are the lands. And the lands are where the bulk of the value of this cube are. And that's because lands are like the currency of the game. It's like the Monopoly money. It's the stuff that you need to play the other cards. And these 10 alone, these are the dual lands, and these are actually proxies. These are copies of my real dual lands because I actually don't want people to mess them up when they're playing with them. So I actually have my 10 real ones in one of my commander decks, in my Ur-Dragon commander deck. These are actually fake ones, but the real ones I do have, and I do count them as part of the cube, obviously, even though they're on loan to a different deck. Over here, we've got a bunch of really, really big bangers. I mean, I'm just passing over cards here, but like, I mean, these cards are worth quite a bit of money. I mean, each of these cards that we're passing is like anywhere from like 10 to 50 bucks. I mean, it's really wild what you can get for these land cards. This Ancient Tomb, I think, is probably a $100 card at this point. Urza Saga, Foil Arid Mesa, and these are my two favorites. We've got Gaia's Cradle, and again, this is from like the competition decks or whatever they're called, but still, this is like a $200 card even in this gold border version. And Tolarian Academy, which is one of the most broken cards out there. This is my original one from when I was a kid, and I absolutely love this. So let's now take a look at what these last few cards are that are absolutely spectacular. What are these cards? So there are the original Power 9 cards that are worth literally minimum, even in beaten up shape, thousands and thousands of dollars, all the way up to over $1 million with the Black Lotus. But what do I have here? Well, I couldn't afford those super fancy Moxen, so I commissioned Dan Frazier, the creator, the artist of the original Moxen, to hand draw these. These are original hand pieces of art. But I actually emailed him years ago and asked him to do it. I found his website, emailed him, and asked him to commission these for me, and I paid $185 total. So that was one of the best investments I've ever made, actually, and these are beautiful. So this is the Mox Ruby, this is the Mox Jet, this is the Mox Pearl. I actually have a real Mox Pearl as well. This is the Mox Sapphire, and this is the Mox Emerald. And doing the same thing, I also bought this Time Walk from Amy Weber. This is also hand-drawn art by Amy Weber for Time Walk, which is another piece of the Power 9. So I am looking for the other pieces of Power 9 in this original hand-drawn artist-proof style, but of course Black Lotus is going to be tough because not only is the Black Lotus extremely valuable, but the artist Christopher Rush has passed away, sadly. So that is my Magic the Gathering cube. It's probably worth about $15,000 to $18,000, and it is my pride and joy. I've been working on this effectively my entire life, right? And I love this game, I love this collection, and I love this community. So if you're watching this and it's your first exposure to Magic, give it a shot. Go to your local game store, download MTG Arena, and try it out. I promise you, if you like games, you will not be disappointed. So if you guys have questions or even suggestions, put them in the comments below. And if you like this kind of content and you want to see more of my Magic collection, definitely let me know. Maybe I'll show off my Commander decks, do some special episodes. And if you want to learn more about the business of buying and selling Magic cards to make a profit, I'm also happy to talk about that. So anyway, I really hope you enjoyed this kind of different video, a little departure from my regular content. But if you like this or my regular content, hit the subscribe button, throw me a like, and I can't wait to catch you in the next one. Anyway, I've got a lot more awesome stuff coming down the pike, so stay tuned, and until then, Silver Picker out. If you think that videos like this are important for the public, consider supporting me on Patreon at patreon.com/silverpicker and get access to our private Discord server, truly the most welcoming and easy place to learn about coin collecting and precious metals investing.